Hi, I'm Sabrina Bennett. I'm in my second year teaching science and social studies for 4th and 5th grades at Jenkins Independent. It's important that I note that I'm not originally from Jenkins. I'm actually from a town about 20 minutes away, so this will be a learning journey for me as well. Throughout my first year at Jenkins, I learned a lot about the area in its current state, but I still know very little about the history of Jenkins myself. Some things I noticed throughout my first year at Jenkins was how little confidence and pride the children I have working with daily had of their community. They were not particularly school-spirited. A few times I even heard the phrase, "It's just Jenkins," and that shows me that they don't really think a lot about where they come from. I feel self-confidence and community pride go hand in hand. That is why I chose to apply for the Learning Innovation Grant with the intent to involve my 5th grade students in a place-based learning about their hometown. Throughout the school year, my 5th grade students will take a deep dive into the history of Jenkins with the end goal of creating a virtual tour of Jenkins, which will be accessible online to the world. Our end product will be a collaboration between our 5th graders and a high school class led by Mr. Kenneth O'Quinn. He's presenting also today in the next segment. The 5th grade's focus will be on immigration, factors that influence Jenkins, Kentucky. We will do this by pulling census data to determine countries of origin of those who moved into Jenkins. We will use maps to trace the routes used by immigrants from those countries on their journey to the United States, which finally settled them into the heart of eastern Kentucky. We will use the maps on both personal levels, so children will have these in their notebooks as we go through to make their own maps, and we'll also have a large-scale map in the classroom pinpointing countries and their routes to Jenkins. We will move on to analyze cultural aspects of those particular countries and correlate them to how they transitioned with those immigrants and became a part of life in Jenkins. To improve our efforts to really understand the culture and customs that followed them here, we will write interview questions addressing how Jenkins was years ago with the purpose of interviewing and recording key members of our community who have lived in Jenkins for most of their lives. After all, the best way to learn about history is straight from the source. Along with census data, mapping, and interviews, we will also visit the local coal museum to gather vital primary resources on the history of Jenkins from 1920 going forward. Also, throughout our research time period, students will keep a personal journal to record their thoughts and feelings and assess how what they've learned affects them on a personal level. Once the 5th grade completes our investigation of Jenkins, we will come together with the high school class to compare and contrast and analyze our data and analyze how our individual research from our 5th graders and the juniors in high school, their research comes together to paint a picture of how the Jenkins of the past has transformed into the Jenkins we know now. To complete our goal of creating a virtual tour of Jenkins, we'll use a 3D camera to show Jenkins in real time and an iPad for video recording technology. The 3D camera will allow us to show the journey through Jenkins, and the virtual tour will include clickable stops of historical importance. The clickable stops will include things like historical markers, recorded interviews mentioned earlier, and past and present comparisons. The academic goal of this project is to learn about the past of Jenkins, the hows and whys of what made Jenkins a once booming town with plenty of heart and pride to go around, and to produce a product that will allow others to learn the same. The social and emotional goal of this project is to instill a sense of pride in our students. We want students to hold their head high when speaking of Jenkins and how they are, and know that they are in a school and community that not only cares about them but deserves recognition. Our students see the effects of economic downturn, drugs and alcohol abuse, and families barely getting by, because that is what the majority of Jenkins and most small towns in eastern Kentucky are today. But our region, and Jenkins in particular, hold a strong history of hard work, ingenuity, and love. That history holds the power to turn our present into a future worth having, and our students are the ones who hold that potential for future in their hands. Do you have any questions? So the end goal is a virtual tour that will be up online for anybody in the whole world to see. You can click on it, walk through town, just like you would be now, and click on different things to show historical markers. We'll have videos and data, census data, and pictures comparing the past with the present. I did not know that Jenkins was once a big community, because now it's very small. It's one street with buildings on each side. There's our elementary and the high school. There's not much to it. I learned that in its heyday, it was a destination for coal because of the coal industry, and it was a destination for people to be here. That's why we have all the coal camps and the homes that were now they're not used for that such things.